adventuring across Oregon and Idaho, 821 miles away. Destination? Impressive minerals, fossils, inviting outcroppings, and incredible vistas. We're getting it down the road to the Bear River mountain range and all its splendor, not to mention splashing around in the warm turquoise waters of Bear Lake in Idaho and Utah. But that's not all. We have a mission, and this is just the beginning. 4 states, things to take out of the ground, things to return to it. I'm Karen with Steve, and these are the dogs, Lily, Ochiko, and Oahi. You know, when you hit the road for a big trip, you're always thinking, what wild things are we about to see? What new places are there to discover? What wacky encounters? And there's no amount of wondering that can ever prepare you for the extent of the actual adventure. Come along, we're all going. Here we are at a monument to the Oregon Trail, and we've been driving through Idaho, and we've actually been on the Oahi part of this section of the Oregon Trail, and now we're deeper into the east of Idaho, and apparently off in the distance we have some rocks like Massacre Rock, and this was a stopping point and a place where there was a fort and a lot of trading for the Oregon Trail participants that were so happy to get to some place where they could do some rest and get some respite from the mosquitoes and the sun and the dangers of what out there brought them. It's a lot different now, highways and farms and ranches, but you can definitely feel what those folks must have thought as far as coming across a very wide open space with heat and terrain. How amazing that trek must have been, how much fortitude it must have taken to get out here. So here we are. I'm also going to point out just right here on the side of the monument, there's some really pretty, they're quartzy or nicey or feldspar-y little colorful rocks. So some nice geology around here, but we're close to that Yellowstone hotspot madness. So close. And speaking of the Yellowstone hotspot and all that fun, beyond those hayfields is the lake, and it just so happens to be a tectonic lake. That's right, totally fault related. It is said there was a time when this entire half-graben valley was filled with water. The lake's still no shrinking violet. The deepest part of the lake is around 208 feet. The average depth is about 85 feet, and it keeps on getting deeper due to that aforementioned fault action. In 1911, the majority of the flow of the Bear River was diverted into Bear Lake, and the power company built the Lifton pumping station to pump out water from the lake and to create energy for the entire valley. So this lake has an impressive size. It's 20 miles long, having sides in both Idaho and Utah. It's between 5 and 8 miles across, giving it around 109 square miles of lakey goodness. What do you think of Bear Lake?
Pretty cool.
As we watch the weather come in, it's intense to imagine that we're sitting beside the oldest continually wet lake in North America. USGS core samples have scientifically dated the lake to 250,000 years old, and there are older core samples that have yet to be studied. We are here at the lakeside, and you know, we're headed to go see some pretty serious fossils in Wyoming. but you are always looking at the gravels of wherever you are, kind of getting an idea. There seems to be these conglomerate pieces of rock, and the ball. Dogs want to play ball, of course. And I started noticing that these guys have some fossil shells in them. And it definitely all of a sudden got to be pretty interesting that I'm seeing material that is similar to these little conglomerate kind of concretions with the fossil shells from the beach. But we are in Utah. So it's cool seeing that, you know, we're fairly close to the Green River Formation, and this is the kind of cemented conglomerates, concretionies. Yeah, we're close to the fossils. So it seems like there's fossil-bearing rocks around here too. You know, no big surprise. A lot of volcanic activity, lots of inclusions that look like they might be gemmy. I just really haven't had much of a chance to look at this. It's just the gravel from the side of the lake. So why is that lake color so darn gorgeous? That's calcium carbonate reflecting the color of the water and sky, making it a brilliant color of blue. Throughout the summer, the average water temperature is between 68 to 72 degrees, making it absolutely enticing for swimming, paddleboarding, jet skiing, water skiing, and all sorts of sports. The lake is also great for fishing. There are endemic species to catch both in the summer and ice fishing too. We nabbed some fantastic morning coffee in Garden City and took off up into the mountains to the west of the lake, which is the Bear River Range, a sub-range of the Wasatch. It's located at the northern edge of the Wasatch Range, and it shares a close geologic history with the other peaks of the range. The Wasatch Range lies along more superbly faulty action, which together form the Wasatch Fault. The bedrock within the range consists primarily of dolomites, limestones, and quartzites, many of which date back to the Precambrian period. Historically, the region has been used for mining of limestone, copper, zinc, and occasionally lead. Check this out. I just put this back down, but looks like almost K-sparish, but look at that. Yeah, it's got some nice detail, crystal structure. And look at this. I'm not even sure what I'm looking at there. Wild. What is that globular layered rock looking like some kind of gemmy cake? Is it a stromatolite? Leave it in the comments if you know what it is. What a great collection of colors and formations, nicely presented in a refreshing creek. There are so many mystery rocks. I have to adjust to seeing such different geology. Not at all the Oregon coast stuff, and a totally different age to Oregon geology altogether. My eyes are drinking in all its beauty. Boulder, that layer, how beautiful. That's so compressed. I'm not sure what I'm looking at here, but I mean, this looks very high silicate. That looks like a huge piece of quartz. so does that one. And this is the foundation of the flume. Look at this, like all the way through here. Neat rocks. We're at a scenic overlook. There's Bear Lake down there, Utah is over there, and Idaho is over here. And on the floor, we have tons and tons of quartzite, it looks like. And look, the road is made out of it. Check out all of this coming up. It's just everywhere. Different colors. Cool spot. Look at how pretty that red is. And most of this material is pretty sparkly. The sun's not shining, but you can see it's definitely got, you know, like almost like a druzy kind of finish. Really pretty colors of like red and pink and yellow. I couldn't believe that whole gemmy outcropping, just driving over all those sparkles. That mountain trek was filled with grandeur. Can't wait to go back. We hit the beach on the west side of the lake to do some spectacular stand-up paddleboarding. My brother, his girlfriend, and my mom were all coming out to meet us from California. But the sky turned super weird. We've arrived in the middle of thunderstorm season. This place definitely gets some weather. In addition to glorious summer temperatures of 70s and 80s, the winters can be fierce. In fact, its record low was minus 25 degrees in 1979. You can imagine the natives, settlers, fur traders, and Oregon Trail stopovers really had to hunker down. The lake even ices over some years. And here's this little guy just getting out of the storm. The winds were howling and the rain was coming down in buckets. My guess is that it's some kind of myotis, though there are several species of bats in Utah that could have been seeking shelter over the door of the loo that night. I can tell you that was a totally sleepless night, with a grand thunderstorm making its way east across the lake right at us. The wet rocks in the morning were a welcome sight. The first one I thought might be some kind of coral fossil, but find that it's likely tufa. According to Wikipedia, tufa is a variety of limestone formed when carbonate materials precipitate out of water in unheated rivers or lakes. There we have some conglomerates with fossils in them. Of those, there were many. There were a fair number of nicely compressed conglomerates as well, with a multitude of minerals swimming in them. This one is also fossil-bearing with a little spiral shell and others. This one looks like even more pressure on the conglomerate, swirled through with lovely color. There's even what looks like a little wonderstone inclusion. Fancy indeed. There were lots of quartzy chunkers hanging around as well. This one is thick and rich. Check out how gemmy. There are those clearish green minerals. Wonder what they are. This was my favorite, a full-on pudding stone. So many cool constituents, I wish I could have kept them. But alas, this was state land, so they all stayed at the lake with a bat guarding them. The first leg of our trip was absolutely awe-inspiring, and we did get to take some stuff from the BLM land. This was some of that quartzite with some red and yellow and almost a purple. Really, really beautiful stuff. The second leg of our journey takes us to Kemmerer, Wyoming, and that's just a little hop, skip, and a jump across the Wyoming border, and that'll be in part 2 coming up next. That certainly isn't all to our trip. We ended up going up through Star Valley, Wyoming, and across into Idaho again to visit Craters of the Moon and the Sawtooth Mountains and some more of Eastern Oregon. So there's many more legs of this trip. It's like a millipede of sorts. Stay tuned for the rest of our journey. Thank you so much for watching. Like and subscribe if you liked it and you want to be notified about the next adventures coming up soon. It's hair-raising, truly. And we'll see you the next time.